I certainly think it's a wise decision for the government. The same sort of caution need not be on commentators, however. It's been outrageous that Sean has been imprisoned for as long as he has. It's, 21 months now. And it's quite outrageous. But I think seeing him in person and having him back on Australian soil is exactly what we need at this stage.
Yeah, it's sounding very hopeful. What do you think still needs to happen, and when do you feel it's going to be safe as he passes through Myanmar, perhaps even going to Bangkok, I understand?
Yes, there are flights from Yangon to Bangkok, and my guess, I have no knowledge, but my guess is that he'll be on one of those flights and hopefully on one of those flights tonight. All going well, I would hope to see him in Bangkok appearing alive and well tomorrow morning.
Yeah. You know, it does seem, though, that the Albanese government has really made this a priority to get him released. And I understand raising it at every opportunity, just at ASEAN last week. Do you think that has made the difference?
I think it's been part of the difference, and certainly the Albanese government, but also the Morrison government, I must say, beforehand, has taken this extremely seriously. We saw, for example, that the chair of ASEAN for this year, Hun Sen, the Prime Minister of Cambodia, went to Myanmar soon after the beginning of the year on behalf of ASEAN, and he said he raised the case then of Sean Turnell. Unfortunately, he was humiliated by the generals at that time. They showed no respect for him either in his role as Cambodian Prime Minister or even worse, as chair of ASEAN. He said soon after his visit that he expected that Sean would be released soon, but now that's almost a year ago. So I think that there have been efforts made by Australian governments through every possible intermediary. I'm critical of much that the former government did in relation to Myanmar, but I do have to acknowledge their efforts too on Sean's behalf.
Many more prisoners have been released potentially will be released with Sean. You talk about that sort of snubbing of ASEAN a year ago. Do you feel this is an indication that now the junta is starting to feel the pressure?
I think it is, while acknowledging that it's always very difficult to guess what the Myanmar generals are doing. They're essentially irrational. I mean, we have to acknowledge that. They don't work on the basis of any other kind of government anywhere in the world. They deal with soothsayers, and so it may be that their soothsayers told them that the auspices require the release of these prisoners at the moment. So trying to find a rational basis for their actions is very difficult. But the pressure has been building up. And here I have to say the pressure has not come from Australia under either the former government or the present one. We've been using intermediaries like Hun Sen from Cambodia, like Noeleen Heyzer, the Secretary-General's special envoy to Myanmar. But other countries whose nationals are now being released after a much shorter period in detention have actually applied real pressure to Myanmar. They have imposed sanctions, and here I've got in mind the United Kingdom. A former ambassador of the United Kingdom to Myanmar also seems to have been released today. She was arrested in September, so she has been held now for 3 or 4 months only. The United Kingdom has been one of the strongest in the sanctions that they have imposed right from the beginning, since the coup began in February last year. The United States had one of its nationals arrested last year. He was released after 3 or 4 months also. The United States has also applied pressure from the very beginning. So the pressure from Australia has not been great. And yet Sean has been held now for 21 months. So I don't really think that we have been very successful in our diplomacy. Clearly the pressure is building up on the military, especially from ASEAN at this stage. We need more pressure, not less. I don't think it's been the pressure from the Australian government that has secured Sean's release. But whatever the reason, it's great that he's out.
That's right. Now, I mean, to that point, the government had said as long as Sean Turnell was waiting trial and now, you know, had his sentence delivered, they did not want to step on any toes. But now there's no excuse. Sanctions,
no excuse.
Criticism
No excuse
should be
at all.
ramped up.
We should have done it a long time ago. We should have done it right at the beginning, back in February 2021. Other countries like the European Union states, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, have all taken much firmer action than we have. And as I said, their nationals have been treated much better than Sean Turnell has been treated. But there's no excuse now. We can no longer hide behind Sean's imprisonment. It's time for action on the part of the Australian government, and that means sanctions. Sanctions against the top military leadership and, even more importantly, against their business enterprises.
Many of which, have, and also the sort of family members that live in Australia or have business interests in Australia.
Yes, provided the family members and their businesses have a connection with the military. I don't want to see collective punishment against family members who are entirely innocent and are not involved in any kinds of activities that either support the military or seek to legitimate the coup or send money back to the generals. But if they are implicated in any way, yes, they should be sanctioned as well.
Chris, always appreciate your insights into this. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Beverly. It's always good to talk to you.